Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Can you believe that October is just around the corner? I for one am blown away at how fast this year has gone by. I feel like it was just last week that I was planning for a wedding, planning for a honeymoon, and now we're at the end of September. Like, what the heck? Where did the time go? And as September comes to an end and the temperatures continue to drop, I thought it was the perfect time to put out my October TBR. Now, if you have been following me since the beginning of my booktube journey, you know that I am not a TBR person. I don't like to set out a list because more often than not, probably 95% of the time, I do not follow that TBR. I am just too much of a mood reader, and it truly changes every day what I want to read, what genre. So I can't expect that a list that I make at the beginning of the month to follow me through the entire month. But I feel like October is a very special month because I am in the mood for spooky reads. It is spooky season. So I have a very short TBR of spooky reads that I am very excited to get to. I feel motivated to read them, and I feel actually the desire, like I know that these are books that I will read, and so I feel comfortable enough sharing this TBR with you all. Like I mentioned, this is a very short TBR, only 4 books that I want to mention, but if you are looking for spooky recommendations or thinking of what to read that is perfect for the month of October, keep on watching. Admittedly, this first book is not creepy, is not horror, no Halloween vibes whatsoever, but it is one that I am dying to get to, so I feel like I should mention it, and that is The Ballad of Never After by Stephanie Garber. If you have seen my last 2 videos, those unboxings, you know that I am all over this book and this series. I know this is one that I will be able to read in the month of October. The next 2 books I don't own in physical form, but I do have them through the Libby app, and the first one is Dead Silence by S.A. Barnes. This is supposed to be a horror science fiction book. The description on Goodreads says that it is a blend of Titanic with The Shining. I am a very big fan of the Titanic story. It sounds kind of morbid to say fan. I guess I'm just fascinated or very interested in what happened to the Titanic, so I thought this would be interesting. I saw this actually on a Barnes & Noble stand where I'm pretty sure it said spooky recommendations. Like I said, the Goodreads description says it's a blend of Titanic and The Shining. Dead Silence follows Claire and the rest of her space crew as they stumble upon a famous luxury space liner that went missing over 20 years ago. The case of the missing space liner has never been solved in the 20 years, and Claire and her crew see dollar signs when they realize what they have stumbled upon. But after a quick search of the ship, they realize that something is very wrong. I have started this book, and I don't think it's a spoiler to say that in the very first chapter we discover that something went very wrong on this space liner, and Claire seems to be the only survivor and the only person who holds the answers, but she seems to be suffering from some kind of post-traumatic stress disorder. She's seeing hallucinations, she's hearing things, and yet this is the only person who can tell us what happened on this space liner. The next book on my list is His Hideous Heart, and this actually takes 13 of YA's biggest names and has them reimagine Edgar Allan Poe's most famous short stories, and I am so excited for this. Now, I am not a big Edgar Allan Poe fan. I don't read horror at all, so this is actually quite out of my comfort zone this month, reading books that are intentionally trying to creep me out. While I don't read a whole ton of Edgar Allan Poe and I'm not the hugest fan, I have read a few stories that kind of catch my attention, and I saw that one of them is retold in this short story collection, so I am very excited. I also get to read from authors that I haven't necessarily read from and just get a little taste test as to what their writing style is. I also wanted to very quickly mention The Hacienda by Isabel Cañas. This is a reimagining of the classic Rebecca story, but this is set in the aftermath of the Mexican War of Independence, and it has supernatural aspects to it. There's a little bit of romance, but not really at all, just like literally a drop of romance in there. It worked really well for me. Like I said, this is a story that I have already read, but I figured I would mention it in this TBR TBR in case you are looking for October spooky recommendations. This is one I highly recommend. I gave it a 5 stars. I thought it was done so well. Seeing how the war and who won affected a lot of different people depending on their status was very interesting to me. I don't know anything about the Mexican War, but I was fascinated by the little tidbits that they dropped here and there. I also thought that the more paranormal aspects or the creepier aspects were done in a way where I wasn't totally afraid of reading this, but it still made me uneasy. Kind of in the darkness of my house, I kind of was listening for noises and maybe hearing things that weren't there. But I love that. I love that it creeped me out but didn't necessarily frighten me. It set the atmosphere really well. I would highly recommend The Hacienda by Isabel Cañas. And then finally, the last book on this TBR is actually one that is at the top of my list, but I want to leave it for the end because I'm hoping to end the month with a bang. I am going to be reading Uzumaki by Junji Ito. Now, he is apparently a very big name in the horror manga genre. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but that is what I gathered. It took me a very long time to decide what I wanted to read from him, but this is one that seemed to have decent reviews on Goodreads. I believe this is straight up horror though, so I am a little uneasy about that, but I want to push myself out of my comfort zone. And like I said, I think October is a very fun month to experiment with your genres and what you're reading. This is a very thick book, or it is for me at least. I do believe this is just one story though, because I noticed that there were a lot of collections of manga novels at Barnes & Noble, but this one I believe is just one story. Hopefully this is the right book to start off with Junji Ito. I just want to show you the end pages just so that you can get an idea maybe of what we're getting ourselves into. And those are the books that I will be reading in the month of October. I am hoping to do some reading vlogs, so be on the lookout for that if you're curious on what my thoughts are. Also, leave me a comment down below if you have any other spooky read recommendations that you think I would enjoy in the month of October. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please give it a thumbs up if you did. My name is Elle. Spooky season is here, and I'll see you in next time's video.